Welcome. Good morning, everybody. My name is Heidi Brommer. I am a senior math specialist for Quest 03 BOCES, but my other role is I serve this year as the chair for the Academic Advisory Board for NEATEC. And one of the many roles I've had kind of under and along with that is to be part of the facilitation of the development of a math course appropriate for students preparing for our high technical fields, especially around this particular locality where we're booming in nanotechnology and semiconductor work and other things. We chose, and actually I'm going to give credit to the team over here, that we chose to call the course Math for Emerging Technologies, shorten it to MET, because that's kind of catchy and cool. It will be open to more people to pilot next year, and I'm going to remind you of that at the end of our presentation as well, but because our timeline today is a little flip-flop, I don't want to miss the opportunity to do that, so I'm going to direct your attention to the side board. This is the team, actually, we're the ones who handle the requests and see how that goes, and how many NEATEC can actually support in terms of materials next year. What happens is that the schools that pilot this course, the consumable and non-consumable materials that you need to make the labs happen with each of the chapters or units or modules, whatever you want to call them, that they're going to talk to you about, those materials that are needed for those labs that make the course snap, make them interested, as well as giving them the mathematics they need to be successful in the programs, to prepare them for these kinds of careers, to be successful on entrance level exams going into colleges so they don't end up in the remedial courses, so they end up where they should be in order to complete the programs. Those are some of our goals with this course. So again, if you're interested in piloting next year, these are the schools, these are the teachers who are both creating and part of, obviously, the initial pilot. That's why we don't have the course as a bound presentation for you, because as these teachers who work over the summer to create this course, as they're experiencing it with the kids in the classroom, working with materials, working with the content, they're making the adjustments that are appropriate. So when we do have a compiled product to put out next year, still in obviously a draft form, for other teachers and other schools to pilot, you know what I mean, it'll be a better product. So that's where that is right now. So now I'm going to introduce this. This is an amazing team, and they represent many different kinds of students in our area. It's a really good course. I'm sorry that your other colleagues couldn't be here. This workshop's actually full, but as you can see, Mother Nature played a part in that. So the result is, as Ted just pointed out, we are going to have high quality today. You guys are really going to get to be hands-on, which is amazing, and you'll be able to take that back with you. Of course, like our colleague in Vermont, this is probably nothing like, what are these people all scared about here? All right. So let me introduce my partner in crime in terms of funding is Ted Hennessy, also from Questar, and he'll say a few words in a minute. But I want to take this opportunity to introduce these 4 teachers who have been, well, we wouldn't have the course without them, and they should go down in history for that. We have Corey Knoll from New Lebanon, a rural school in our area. We have Megan Dayton from Catholic High School, because NEATEC represents both public and private education for our whole Northeast. And we have Terry Miller from Averill Park, technically a suburban school with a lot of rural element to it. And then we have Signe Knudsen, who is our math specialist math teacher for our CTE, our Continuing Ed Center here in Troy. She's been phenomenal and instrumental in making the working parts of our labs work for our 3 teachers that are working with kids in the regular classroom back in our home schools. So I'm going to turn it over to Ted for a little more of an introduction, because that was also part of the funding. This course is funded by NEATEC and by a consortium that Ted has been a leader in, and still is a leader in. And then our teachers will take it off with the hands-on part of the course that you're interested in. And remember, if you have any questions from the organizational standpoint, or interested in piloting the course kind of standpoint, we're the ones to contact on the side. These guys will have contact information for the nuts and bolts questions of the course and the content, because they're the experts there. So thank you and enjoy.
So on behalf of our math posse, that's what I call these guys, I'd like to just kind of go around and really quick and just kind of get a sense of the demographic of what we have. Your name, the school district, and your role.
John McKinnon, North Caledonia, North Central Supervisor Union.
Okay.
And he's the one from Vermont, though.
Is it an intermediary school school district?
High school.
Okay. And whereabouts in Vermont is it? Like
Northeast Cambridge, farthest northeast point.
towards Canada? Okay, good.
I'm Ron Bossy, I'm a high school principal in Wardsville.
Okay,
I'm Steve Kelly, I teach math in Warriors High School.
okay.
I'm Karen Cruzado, I also teach math at Warriors High School.
Oh, I know you. You're the ATE guy from NSF, right? No, okay.
I'm from the community college, and I want to see what the high schools are doing, because the mathematics is coming to the college is very important.
I'm gonna talk about that in a second, really quick, yes.
I spoke with Director of Engineering and Applied Technologies at Gateway Community College in New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay, great.
Mark Place, Chief Information Officer, Albany City Schools.
Okay,
Bridget Dodson, the team coordinator for the Innovation Academy at Albany School.
okay. All right, so, back in the day when we had a lot of federal money, up until about a year ago. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get you, sir.
Quite all right. I'm the course. I'm 7 through 12 math from Newcomb Central School up in the Adirondacks.
Okay. On the Adirondack Railway, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I believe New Lebanon visited you not too long ago.
I'm sorry?
I believe New Lebanon visited you not too long ago.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I manage a regional consortium, and I still do in a way, but it's kind of like running a boat without any fuel right now because we don't have a grant on the federal government. Completely wiped out the funding source. But we were able to transition one of the activities, which was what we believe to be integral into creating a pipeline into the technology workforce in this region over to NEATEC. And some of these folks came on board with us under the consortium. Simple fact, as you brought up very, very eloquently, and there's really no way we can transition this local labor force into a high-tech economy without dealing with the math issue at the secondary level, because we're not looking for your top 10, 15% of your kids who are currently looking at engineering schools to fill this void. We're looking for the middle group of students who perform abysmally on the placement exams for the community college. And in this region here, for Hudson Valley for 2011, it was 49% of all the students who applied for classes here tested weak in algebra, okay? Now, fortunately, Hudson Valley has somewhat of a progressive policy regarding remediation. And I don't work for Hudson Valley, so just so you know, this is just based on observations that I've seen throughout the state. But the problem is really critical to the point that we need to do something, and we need to do something within the existing framework of our current graduation requirements, which don't necessarily always fit the needs of our students in regards, our middle level students with regards to mathematics and pursuing a technical degree at a 2-year college. So one of the two biggest challenges that we saw when the chip fab was coming in and some of the other emerging technology industries going on, there were two major issues that we had to deal with as a consortium, which still need to be dealt with, by the way. One is, a outdated belief system related to manufacturing, which I'm sure you guys probably talked about in the last session a little bit, although I wasn't there. And the other one is the big gatekeeper, which is mathematics for these 2-year tech programs. Because most of the kids right now that are proficient at the level that they would need to be in order to be successful in the program here at Hudson Valley or Schenectady or Fulton Montgomery, those kids are not really being counseled to 2-year degrees. So, and we're not going to change that part overnight, but we can do some things with mathematics, one of which is a transitional math course, which came out of the Southern Regional Educational Board initially. Something we can do with seniors to refresh some of the stuff that they're going to see in their first college level math course that maybe they haven't seen since 9th and 10th grade. So we came up with an approach that was based on the developmental courses that are taught in the community colleges. We met with these guys, we kind of went through some general skills inventories, and we started implementing these courses regionally, but they were dry. They weren't applied. They didn't relate to any of the technologies that we were preparing students for. So these guys came on board, and our next step was, instead of just offering a regular 12th grade transitional math course, which by the way is not required under New York State graduation requirements, we would try to come up with something with some application in it. And that's what these guys did, and that's what they're going to do with you today. So that's the background. That was pretty quick.
That was pretty good. That was pretty
Okay.
good.
Word.
Since he already introduced us, we decided to, give you a nice little PowerPoint and background from why we're doing this and the whole economy. So it refers to, what is nanotechnology, but since you guys already, know about all of that. We all come from a little bit of different backgrounds in schools, and last summer we got together and started developing this course geared to our students. Signe, you can go ahead. And why should we introduce our students to nanotechnology? Our market here is perfect for it, and we really need to get our kids involved. The entry-level jobs, they pay really well, and so that's what our students are really interested in, getting out there and getting a good job when they graduate, even though they think they aren't good at math. And we're here to tell them, yes, you are, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to actually have a good job and do something in math. Go ahead. At New Lebanon, we require students to have 4 years of seat time in math. Whether you failed a math 1 year or not, when you're a senior, you're going to be sitting in a math class. And it could be this math class, or it could be a few others that we offer. But you are required to be in math for 4 years. Wait, come on. At the end of their junior year, if you are not going into pre-calc or AP Calc, you are required to sit for the Compass exam. And we do it right at New Lebanon. They take the Compass exam. And if they fall in the orange zone or the yellow zone, they are pretty much in our class. They don't really have a choice. They can't really go on to trig or whatnot because they really don't have the skills.
The relevance of the Compass test, too, in terms of college.
Well, we paired up with Hudson Valley. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah.
Okay. We paired up with Hudson Valley, and we get together with them to try and get our students ready so that when they go into community college, they are not placed in the no credit math class. So we kind of align the curriculum for this course so that it gets them ready for their first year at a community college or whatever, so that they're put into a math class that they can get credit for and they don't have to pay for. Is that what we're looking for? Okay.
It's a placement exam that Hudson Valley uses, too. So.
Yeah. So we try to take their skills, and everybody seems to be progressing well. It is working out. The data does show that they are becoming in place, and another year of math helps, because if they're sitting out their senior year, oh, I didn't have to take a math this year, and then they go take that Compass test, they really don't do that well. They find out that it wasn't a great idea to sit out, and we kind of made it a rule that they're not allowed to sit out.
All right, at Averill Park, I have the biggest group of students taking this. I have 72 students. I gave them the Compass test in September, and they all scored in the lowest range. And out of my 72 students, I have 16 that have not passed the Algebra Regents exam. So I'm very interested to see what happens at the end of the school year when I have them take the Compass test again. And out of my 72, 22 of my students have an IEP. So I think I am moving the slowest through the course. I know I will finish the curriculum, and I can see, because I tell them, we did absolute value equations and inequalities, and they got it, and I was able to tell them that this is a topic that's in the Trig and Algebra 2 Regents class, and that's helping boost up their confidence. And the fact that we do these labs, that's also keeping their interest, And I can also add to this that I've had 2 students drop out of school since September. So that's what we got going on over there at good old Averill Park.
Can I just throw something in? I get to look at all the placement and testing data for all the districts in our components. Averill Park has the highest rate of students who are prepared for college level math, or if you flip it around the other way, the lowest percentage of any of our component districts is sent to Hudson Valley that test into the weak zone. So they're really focused on the most at need group here with your course.
Mm-hmm.
Harry,
So-
you probably didn't even know that.
Carrie, before you get off,
Yeah.
the two that dropped out, is it, they didn't put effort into it?
No, they completely dropped out of school.
Oh, they dropped out of school completely?
One student told his parents that they kicked him out, and which was not true. And then I have another student that I see once every 2 weeks or so, so he's more or less going to lose credit due to absences anyway. So I've more or less just considered him
And
a...
it'd be great if you could share the data, at the end of this course, when you redo the compass, see how the,
Oh, well, yeah,
that would be great.
yeah, we'll get that.
Okay, I'm at Catholic Central. I have only 8 students in this course. Unlike Corey, it's not required for them to take 4 years of math. But the kids that are taking this, I'm really happy they're taking it because they want to be prepared for college. They want to have that math that a lot of the other students choose not to because they want to have an easy senior year. They have the option of either taking this course, another math course, or pre-calc or calculus if they're seniors. All of these kids had to have passed the integrated algebra exam in order to get into the course and do all of the other coursework in their math. It's taken as an elective, so like I said, these kids that are in there, most of them, with the exception of maybe one boy that I have, actually really tries hard, really wants to understand what we're doing. He's like a little lax with his work, homework, that kind of a thing. But the labs, I just actually did the lab that we're going to do with you guys today on Monday, and he was really excited about it and really liked it and really enjoyed it. And for him to be that way about something was really awesome because he's always just sitting there in class like, blah, I don't really care what you're doing. But I knew that he was learning and he was interested in it, and that's really what this course is geared towards, like that hands-on where it's really going to make a difference for those kids. None of the kids either have taken Algebra 2 Trig, so they've been on either, they've taken algebra as a 2-year course, then taken an algebra local class, and now they're in this. So none of them have taken the Trig Regents, nor do they really want to take it, but that's basically the level of the kids that I have at Catholic High.
Here's our course syllabus. You'll see it on the next 2 slides. We have it all broken down into units and the labs that go with it, each next to it. Today we are going to work on the LED lab. You guys get to see that one. But each chapter does have a lab. And in going through this course, we found that the first lab wasn't really that interesting. So we do want to work towards changing that lab out and getting something a little bit more hands-on for that one. And maybe taking that lab and putting it as, day 1 of class when, you just give them all your syllabus and all that stuff. Do something like that to really get them motivated into the course. So it's still a big work in progress, but it's coming along nicely, and I think the kids are enjoying it. I'm currently in Unit 4. I believe you're in 5.
And I'll start Unit 4 after Regents Week.
So we're all over the place, kind of working it out, and it's all based on our students and what they're ready for and different things like that, but it seems to be working out well so far.
One thing I want to add. The good thing with this is that you can add other things, can you go one back slide? Yep. Back in Unit 3, we have consumer math. You have the ability to add different things in because it's not, a ridiculously long curriculum like Algebra 2 Trig is. So you have some wiggle room to insert things. I did a unit with them and did a college project where they had to research colleges they were interested in. They took a test, an inventory test, to see what type of field suits them the best, and then did them, with interest rates and college loans, so they could really see the applications of the math that they're doing in class. So it's also, you're able to do things like that instead of some Regents courses don't allow you the time to do that.
And these rounded out. These are pictures of my students working on a few of the labs. This one was the Nanoscale Measurement Lab. We pretty much, at New Lebanon, we take the lab and we do it in 2 days. The first day, we get our highlighters out, and it is lengthy. There's a lot of science words in it. So we read it through together. I have them silent read on the lab for 10 or so minutes, depending on the length of it. Then we read through it together because there are a lot of different science terms in there and things like that. So we do need to go through it together. And every lab then has some questions. There could be as many as 10 or as few as 5.
I think so.
And then they answer the questions. And then they hand that in for the first grade of the lab. And that usually takes one class period because we're about 40 minutes. And then the second day we set up, go through all of our materials, what we need. We refresh what we discussed on the lab the previous day. And then we start working on it. This one here, they had to order things from all with size, 10 to the 0 power all the way to 10 to the negative 13, which is our nanoscale. So they had to figure out, and it wasn't consistent. Some groups only had one thing that went into it, some had 3, and they had to figure out their sizes, which was a little difficult for some of them, and then they had to reread through the material to figure out where things went size-wise. They thought it was interesting. The next one is the LED lab that we're going to talk about today. And this was the most fun one. Is that English? The most fun one that they really, really enjoyed. Because you got the lights to light up, you measured them, and at the end was calculations. But we did this one the same way. The first day was all reading through the lab, making sure we were set and that we understood all the material that went with the lab. And then we worked through it. Go ahead.
At Averill Park, we have a block schedule, so I have them for 80 minutes every other day. So what I try to do is I give them the lab, the class before we're going to do it, to read through it, and then when they come in, the first part of the class, they answer the questions, and then the second part of the class, we do the actual hands-on. So I get it done in my 80 minutes of time, which is the same as Corey doing it in her 2.
Does anybody have any questions so far?
On your curriculum overview, what did you use as your guide to, figure out what topic areas you were going to cover?
I was already teaching.
Basically, we took the class that Corey was teaching at New Lebanon
Okay.
and just tweaked it a little bit and added the labs.
And so then,
Yeah.
then going back one, what was that course based on?
It was just an elective.
Right.
And you could just kind of teach anything. It had no Regents exam to it.
Right.
But this really helps amp it up and get the kids excited to take it. I already have juniors saying like, oh, I want to take that class next year.
Right.
Whereas before they're like, ugh,
But
I don't want to take
in terms
that.
of the actual skill indicators that you use to address in the forerunner of this, were they, you guys?
I would say some of the topics that I suggested that we keep, move, or whatever were based on my experience taking the compass test and watching the students take the compass test. And also at my district, because I have probably the weakest level of math students in our district, I had to, I knew where their weaknesses were.
Okay.
Going in.
Have any of them taken geometry, or this?
My students have taken geometry because we don't do a 2-year stretch program any longer for algebra. Everybody does it in 1 year. It's working out very well. We had 100% pass last year. But we do put it with labs also. They have hands-on activities as well. Then they go to geometry for their 2nd year. Their 3rd year, they can take an elective, and some of my students have taken trig. However, they have not passed the Regents exam, but they have taken the class.
This is only offered to seniors then?
Yes, only seniors at New Lebanon.
Next year for Catholic High, almost all of them have taken the geometry, Regents, and most of them have passed it. But next year, I think we're going to open it up to juniors and seniors as an elective. But the juniors would probably have to double this with another course if they were looking to do it that way.
With regards to the first level math class that kids take, 3 years ago, I don't know if you were in on this, but we actually had faculty from 3 local community colleges come in and do a critique of the skill indicators for the 3 current Regents courses that are taught. I think there were something like 72, 73 skill indicators for the current Regents geometry course. And we asked them to rate each one of those skill indicators as absolutely necessary, somewhat important, or not important. And the one thing that really stuck out with that whole process was with that 10th grade geometry course. As it currently is written, it will probably change under the Common Core, that only 63, I think 63 of the 73 skill indicators for the current 10th grade were rated as not important or not necessary for the first level math courses that these kids will take as college courses when they go in. And it really boils down to all the stuff with proofs they're not going to ever see again. So, you know, that was kind of that part.
So does this dovetail into what they're going to see specifically, like if they're going to go to Hudson Valley as a senior, this is what they're going to walk into this class and prepare them. If they don't go to Nanotech and that 2-year program, just in general, the math that they're going to need for Hudson Valley?
Yeah, we teach intermediate algebra through college and high school, and I would say come November, I was talking with the woman that teaches the intermediate algebra class, and we sat down and we compared curriculums, almost identical. And that's Math 109 here at, I think it's 109 here at Hudson Valley. You know, so that's causing an issue with, you know, having the 2 courses that are basically the same, calling them different. So next year at April Park, we don't know what we're doing with this 3rd-year math class and with the intermediate algebra class. We were supposed to have a meeting today to talk about it, but.
But in the CHIP Lab program here at Hudson Valley,
It's the first
150, which is
course.
college level algebra trig that students are required to take.
And I just want to throw in here also that part of the process to develop this, which goes to that exact same question, is we did start because Corey had an excellent outline that she clearly came up from, you know, say, here's an elective course, what do you think is important? And it matched really, really well with Terry's observations in terms of his students with the Compass exam. But we also had on the development team for this course a technology teacher from New Lebanon, actually lived across the hall from you pretty much.
Right.
Rick James. Also, Jason. Why did I say James? No, I didn't. Rick James. Sorry. I apologize. Yeah, there we go. But at any rate, we also have, I'm not even going to say the name again because I will
Comic relief.
say, yes, and that would be me. I invariably would say the wrong J word. So,
You can call Heidi super freak.
okay, that says a lot more than I want to say. But at any rate, and by the way, he's in the Hall of Fame playing the harmonica, so there. All right. But the other aspect is we brought in folks from Columbia Green Community College. And specifically, Stephanie Olstead was on the team, and she reviewed the curriculum as we went through it from her perspective of teaching both the remedial course at Columbia Green as well as the entry-level course, which I couldn't tell you what the number is. But she teaches those 2 courses at Columbia Green for kids who come in as freshmen. So she was looking at our course both as teaching the same topics and preparing kids, you know, from that perspective. So I wanted you to know that those people were part of the development of the course, which goes to the questions and concerns you have.
My question is, where does this fall into the realm of rigor in terms of the normal sequence of integrated algebra through calculus? Where would this fall?
Can you go back?
In terms of rigor, where would this fall in?
I believe it's, in terms of rigor, it's a little less than trig, a little bit more than algebra, because what we did is we took and we added in, they do see factoring twice, a little bit in the beginning, and then they see it again in chapter 5, which is beneficial because a lot of kids always forget how to factor. The more they see it, the better they do get at it. We added in chapter 4 here, or unit 4, transformations and symmetry, which does go in with geometry, but we do it, and trig. And the way I'm doing it is I taught them all the different transformations, which way they go, which isn't something that they don't see in algebra at all. Well, besides, you know, just taking an absolute value function and, you know, but very minimal. And in here, we're supposed to, while I was gone today, work on a project that they were to develop their own function. and they were to come up with 5 transformations, moving it left, right, up, down, but they were to come up with that on their own while I was gone. So it's a little bit more than algebra. And if you go to the next one, and the consumer math in there, I did a lot of credit card work simple interest, compound interest we did. We did talk about buying a home and different things like that, which they don't really see at all. And they really liked that. We tied in a little bit of credit scores too, so that they get a general form there. Once they get down here, you'll see your radicals, radical applications, logarithms we added in. I think that's good for them to see.
The complex numbers, or were we debating on that?
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't see it up in the first unit where we
And complex numbers. It's not in there.
This is why the syllabus is still a work in progress. That's why I think I noticed, no, we don't have the syllabus for you today. If you really want to have their PowerPoint or these slides from it, we'll be happy to share that with you. You can email me and I'll get it to you. But really, this is a work in progress. This is not
We
written
don't
in
want
stone
them
yet.
to be bored.
Right.
We don't want them
Right.
to just take the algebra curriculum and then we see it again. Because then you come up with your class management issues, the kids are bored, they don't do their work. There are a lot of word problems in there too, because we know kids always struggle with the reading portion of math. Sometimes they're really good at math. What they suck at is reading. You know, we can all attest to that if we see any of the Regents exams. They can do the remote, all the steps, but they don't know how to figure out all the reading portions. And there's a lot of applications that we did put in here, which is good for them to see. We used, what was that book?
Mathematics in Action.
Mathematics in Action.
Which is, that comes out of the lead author, Ralph, I'm going to get his last name wrong.
Bertelli.
Thank you. Ralph Bertelli from Columbia Green is the lead author on that book. And there's several versions of the book, but you've used it in Naval Park, Terry, and we do pull that as one of our main resources in terms of pulling those questions. Because talking about that, we all know in this room, particularly some of you folks in leadership positions, that we're looking at that literacy aspect of mathematics all the way from K through 8. And it's now coming to fruition here, and we have to make it meaningful, not just reading a word problem to figure out what to do with the numbers, but reading it to see that, wow, this is something like I'm going to buy a house, or my credit score matters, or what is it about the light bulbs? What is it about those LEDs? Why is that important to me? What am I going to be doing with it? What am I going to be operating with on the nanoscale if I get to go into one of these jobs that are around here? It's pretty exciting to tell these kids that are juniors or seniors that you could potentially have a job where you earn 60 grand after completing a 2-year program at a community college.
And then I
There's a
tell them
potential
what
for that.
I make to put it into perspective.
And they're like, wow, and you have 6 years of college minimum
Yeah.
to get where you are.
And I've been doing it for 9 years versus they'll be starting, you know, and
So
they're
it
like,
gives
whoa.
them some incentive that they got to be able to read. They've got to be able to understand in a real way. And that's one of the things we really stressed in the development. And what you're not going to see, because this is what's developing, is these guys aren't teaching out of any one book. They're putting things together as they go. They've got homework resources. They've got assessment resources. All of these are going to be part of the pilot we'll be able to offer you next year. So just wanted to say that they've really put the rigor is excellent.
Well, in terms of that though, placement, are anyone using it as the 3rd year math now, or is that?
No, that's for Averill Park. In 2007, I designed a course called Contemporary Mathematics, and I was using Thinking Mathematically by Blitzer text. You know, it was, here's the math, here's where it's applied, let's go through it. And then I got involved with Ted giving the compass test, and then I switched from that textbook to the second of the Math in Action, which was still some algebra because the students were where they are. You know, as you saw, you know, I have a lot of students that haven't passed the Regents exam yet, and it was getting them to write and stuff. And then I got involved again with these guys this summer, and I was like, this is what I've been trying to figure out since 2007. You know, so I do have students that struggle. I mean, there's no effort. I have a student that hasn't passed the test yet, but he hasn't given up. He's still coming to class. He's still trying because I keep saying, not every day, but I keep telling him, I'm like, look, you know, what did the program have like 15 kids graduate last year in the NEATEC manufacturing here in Hudson Valley? I was told at one of the meetings we went to.
Ted, do you have that statistic?
There was a few, every student that graduated from that program on that Saturday who started Monday at Global Foundries. And I'm
Had a
like,
job. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Everybody completing here, and there's a couple other places, but here specifically, everybody graduating in these fields with that 2-year program is employed. They know they have a job before they finish. How many of our college graduates that with 4-year degrees can say that? There's a lot of incentive here.
I'm using that as an incentive for them to, I'm like, look, you need to move out of mommy and daddy's house at some point in time. Here you go. Here's a way that, and they're like, well, what's the job entail? And that's where I'm like, okay, we're possibly going to go see what they're doing. We still have to work that out.
We're still working on that for the spring, yes.
I think I get what might be
Field trip.
behind your question regarding the 3rd-year math. Two things with that. The concept behind the transitional math course is to have it be the math course they take in their senior year to be college ready when they hit the floor their freshman year of college. But the other part of that as well is also the way that the course was being taught prior to the injection of the application that came with this. It would not meet the criteria to be able to be counted as a 3rd-year math course because so much of the material is stuff that was already taught in integrated algebra. But when you throw application in, it goes to a different level as far as the state goes. So
And
quite
some
honestly,
topics.
you'll hear me talk about this a lot, but very simple. Who is this best for? Anybody that doesn't take Algebra 2 trig and pass it, because those are the kids that are greatly that are being not served by our current math system, because there's so much other content that's covered in those 3-year courses that they really don't need in order to make it to that first level college level math course, that we just lose them. And there's not a lot of application. We can't answer the question why I need to know this and all those other things that these kids need. So.
And
The goal is, though, the transition, so that could become the 3rd-year math instead of...
This could become a 3rd-year
Yeah,
math, but I still think you want to give it in the senior year,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think that's where it's the most powerful, and you guys can, hold on, two seconds, because the other thing I wanted to say is, even though we talk about the kids that, we don't want the kids in the remedial courses at college, one of the reasons we're doing this course, but as Corey pointed out, we've added topics in this course that are beyond what you would take in the typical transitional course, because it's more than what they're going to see on their compass exam. But partially, that's what.
And I've
it's
taught
testing
that
for.
transitional course before.
Yeah, and that's another
That
good thing for
blitzer,
you having here.
thinking mathematically, wasn't that great?
No, it was missing. I did it for, I think I did it for 4 years, and that 4th year I was like, okay, this is not working the way it should be.
Right.
And just to add, none of my students have taken the geometry readers exam.
So it meets a series, which is why we pulled in some of the geometry concepts. But now my other thing is with this, is we are capturing the kids who are instinctually gifted at mathematics. They might not care about the theory. We all know what Algebra 2 looks like, Algebra 2 trig. The theory is intense in terms of what's expected of those kids. We expect the kids that are successful in Algebra 2 trig to move into the calculus kind of a realm. We have kids in this program, we have all known them from our various positions, kids who are instinctually really, really good at mathematics. They'd be great in other fields, but they may never care what a derivative is. So that's another kid we're trying to capture, because these kids have gifts that have never been tapped, and they're much better at math than they believe they are.
Oh, much.
Which this course gives them a chance to find that. And even the kids who aren't necessarily successful grade by grade are engaged and persevering, which goes to mathematical practices. But yeah, I do the Common Core stuff. So this is amazing. And this course is well aligned to the Common Core, obviously, and that will come out with the final product as well. So I'm going to...
And nanotechnology is new to all of us, And I don't know a lot of things about it. My students don't know a lot of things about it. So I'll Google interesting facts about nanotechnology, and in my lesson every few days, I'll throw a couple facts in there at like the bottom of their problem, and they read it, they giggle. One had to do with a nanometer is equivalent to a man taking his razor, the amount his beard grows from taking his razor, picking it up, and then shaving his face. And they were like, oh, well, that is so small. Yes, obviously you cannot see it. We just kind of talk about interesting facts, and we throw them up there occasionally and just, go with it. Then they see it a little bit more. They're introduced to it a little bit more. They get to do these hands-on labs a little bit more. And then hopefully they'll be really successful and they'll come back and thank us.
They will.
Yeah. So I think we're ready for a lab.
Unless you have more questions.
Unless any more questions. Yes, my dear.
The buzzword in college is critical thinking. Now, we have to teach our kids critical thinking. Math is if you're not going to math is a tool. How well, okay, these are very good at getting them interested in math.
Mm-hmm.
How good would they do in solving problems when they get to the program? They have to take electric circuit courses.
Right.
The professor teaching electric circuits will have lots of different equations, not only just equation and theory, but they need them to solve the problem. We need to have students that know how to solve problems. Are these things rigorously enough so that when they get to our courses, that they were able to function? Or would they, it's just not just, oh, logarithm. I have people say, yes, I've taken logarithm. But you might know something about logarithm, but you need to work with logarithm.
Right. Well,
That's the important part of the mathematics that the high school has to provide.
and that's what we're trying to do.
I know, I understand that, but I just wondered.
Maybe I should have put an example of a lesson or something in there. But we do. We go through what a logarithm is, and we do put in applications of logarithms and you know, the exponential growth and exponential decay and how they would use them. We try to make it as applicationable as we can at their level.
Make them do lots of problems, lots of just rote work. Just if you have little kids, it's fine to teach them. This is core, this is student become. But we keep giving them problems so they keep doing the problems until they know how to do it. This logarithms exponentials different. I just wondering.
They are different.
How much?
Well, they are inverse functions of each other.
Allocate
But.
for doing these things so that they become fluid. We want them to be fluid. Yeah.
I can tell you that in my block schedule, there's part of the curriculum is doing the mixture problems, where you got 38% of this solution, 40% of that solution. You want a solution that's 15%. You got to figure it out. I spent 3 full blocks until they understood it. So that's 240 minutes that I spent trying to get these students through these problems so that they could understand it and be able to now be comfortable reading through that word problem, setting up their equations and solving it. So because there's some flexibility, with the students that I have, I was able to slow down and make sure that they were able to understand it, and then, all right, now you got to do it. So with the logarithms, I'm already sweating that part of the course because of the students I have, but I know we're going to spend class after class just doing them, and then when I know that they're ready, then I'm going to start throwing those word problems in the applications, and they're going to get tougher. The problems that they're going to solve are going to have to get tougher.
And I'm going to jump in for just a minute here too, because I know what you're talking about, and we've all seen it. We as a society, and this comes out of the work that I've done with the Common Core practices also, is that we've seen as a society that our kids, especially by the time they get to where they have them, they are masters at getting to wait for you to tell them what to do. That's what you're talking about. They're not ready to sit down and try on their own and figure it out. And here's a formula I haven't seen before, so how do I work with it? They have not necessarily had that experience in high school, whether it's because they have manipulated their teachers and therefore shorted themselves out of that opportunity, or their teachers haven't pushed through to make them really get through that problem solving and that struggle before they get to you. And we have seen that a lot in our high schools. And one of the things in this course, and one of the things that these teachers have developed, and I'm glad to hear Terry say that the work that he's putting in so clearly is because we're setting that up for them to persevere. We're setting up for them to try and try on their own and not have,
Yeah,
oh,
and then these three,
Miss Noel, tell me
these
what to
two,
do
and
now. And
those
she said,
two.
well, what do you think you're going to do now?
I am not up there for 40 minutes, I can assure you. They, you know, we do a lesson, we group off into groups, they talk to each other, and they really are trying to learn some life skills as well, working in a group,
Yeah, I'll
working it
take
out
that one.
together. And I'm around the room
You can
to
use
help
this other
them,
one,
but they're seniors. And I am well aware that they need to learn to grow and become
Got those though.
humans again.
And you have seen what we've seen. What you're seeing and what you're describing, the students that see all the formulas and go, yeah, I don't know, they're going to wait for the professor. The professor's
We'll do
not gonna
these three,
that. And
these two,
We're giving
these
them
two,
that
and then
opportunity
those two in
before
the
they
back.
get to you. That is a huge component and really one of those, probably we don't stress it enough. We don't bring it to the surface enough. But that's one of our goals with this course, was to give teachers the flexibility where the curriculum is such that you don't have to be tied to a calendar topic by topic by topic, which sometimes will drive the amount of time you can have spent with the kids and put them in the situations that they haven't necessarily been in, where they need to be the problem solvers without the support of the teacher right behind them. They need to be the problem solvers with their peers. They need to develop those skills, those thinking skills, analytic as well as creative, in order to be successful. Because they're going into fields, they're going to do things that the 5 or 6 of us have never done. We're going to get to go and see kids who hopefully come out of this course and go into these engineering, tech courses, technical ed courses, and all of these things. They're going to do stuff we never got a chance to. Hopefully they'll be the speakers that come back to our courses and say, yeah, this is why you do it, and now you have that chance to take those risks and be the problem solver that doesn't always get the right answer before I get to college. That's what we're trying to do, because we know what you're talking about. We've had those students.
Okay.
So what I was going to do is
Yep.
give each group 2 different bags to start with, and then have them pass it on.
Okay.
So we're trying to get them that
Yeah, I
experience.
think we have enough bags to do it that way.
2.
Not quite.
Yeah. They need to go to McDonald's where
Big, that's why I was
the cash register does all the problem solving for them, right?
5, 6, 7.
So no, that's exactly it. I knew that's what you were asking, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here. So now you guys are going to get to play. So this is awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you want to just come down here to do this with him? Or, sure, no, maybe not? Oh, yep, you need that.
What do we want? Want to have him read or just go right to the lab?
What's that?
Do we want to have him read it first? Or we want to go right to...
If you take a look at the first page of this lab, even just glancing at some of them, the complexity of these words isn't something they've really seen before. So just even introducing them to these diodes and everything else really does it increases their vocabulary. It gets them thinking in terms of technology, math, science. It all kind of spirals into one. My principal came in and actually took a look at the kids doing this lab. And I made them also turn it over on the back, and they had to think about what we just did, and they had to then summarize it and write down incomplete sentences, because that's what I required. They can't just write, we tested light and then did the calculator work. You know, they really had to write, and we've gotten to this point so far this year, they had to write a full paragraph summarizing the things that they had to go through on this lab. And they're like, wait a minute, so you're saying that today in class we did technology, math, and now English? Yes, you are right. Welcome to my world. You know, they really then they put it all together themselves. So like, well, you know, I guess math doesn't just have to be, 2 plus 2. You know, they are learning how to read, not just Susie walked 4 miles this way, and then Teddy walked 4 miles that way. When will they meet again? You know, this is more real life, practical versions of what we're trying to to get across. So go ahead, take a look. If you guys, should we give them time to read through this, or just kind of get started on the lab?
I think we might
Well,
just
we'll-
get started on the lab.
It's 10:40.
You can skim.
Because I guess we got to stop at.
We have
'Cause we have-
40 minutes before we need to just, take a pause to go to see Dr. King. So we have 40 minutes, unless we've heard differently. I'm
We'll
surprised.
totally be done by 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, since we have 40 minutes, you might as well go ahead and read through the first couple pages of the lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to figure out what color they are.
Does anybody else want to talk through the lab? Or?
If you have any questions, please.
Okay, you guys all ready? Before you start this lab with your students, make sure they know the importance of your resistor so that they don't blow out all of your light bulbs, because then you have nothing to work with. Should we go around and help them set them off? What should we do?
So most of you have 2 bags on your little station. So what you're going to do is set up the circuit like you have in your diagram on your lab. And you're going to test, obviously all the lights that you have are clear. You want to see what color is produced based on the circuit that you create. Then you have multimeters that you're going to measure how many volts are traveling, which is what you're going to place in your column on the following page. The multimeters you have are these little things inside of that black booklet. You just need to turn them on to
Once you open up your bag, if you turn to this sheet here, what you should do is write down, if you have C or F or A or B, write down which bag you're opening and what letter you have there. Because then we're going to trade so that you can see what every color looks like. Once we'll come around, we'll help you set up your circuit. And once you measure it, your voltage goes in here. So you want to write down your voltage to 4 decimal places. We found out the hard way. We were only writing down 3 decimals or something. And my students were coming, once we got to the calculation part, they were like, oh, Ms. Wall, it's not working out. A lot of them are coming out similar. We should have used 4 decimal places. So they really, they are thinking, they're processing the information, and they're figuring out what works and what doesn't. So, of course, everything's not wonderful, but we're
Now,
trying.
you would give this to the students and expect them to be able to create this without your assistance?
No, we came, actually, Signe came to my school, and after we read it through together and looked at the importance, we talked about, we did this all before she came. We looked at the pictures, how to set up the circuit, what needs to go where.
Gave an example?
I did not do it first with them. No, we just went through and talked about all of it. And then Signe and I came through to the groups, and they really are good thinkers. They can do more than we give them credit for, more than, some people think.
Groups of 3 or 2?
I did three,
I did three,
groups
too.
of 3.
And that's what I plan on doing, because of the
need to
limited
change,
amount
too.
of bulbs that we had, those two have already done it. I switched one of the labs. I did the surface area one, and then when we come back
So you
after.
share all the equipment for the labs between the
Yeah, ideally what's going to happen is
Yeah. Everybody
NEATEC
eventually
is
get
making
their own
up
kit.
kits for enough for 30 students in a class, and when you're doing whatever unit it is, you'll get that kit, and then you send it back.
And the district purchases that? or
DCV,
that's-
yeah.
That's on loan from NEATEC.
And these will it won't jump around with those, the other ones.
Well, basically, yeah, that was the whole idea. I mean, there's some chapters you want to do before, units, excuse me, Corey, you want to do before others, but you can interchange stuff, because if we have, I think the idea is to
So
have
this is bag E.
30, 40 schools eventually doing
that
this.
it? Okay.
They're not going to be
I
able
would just
to
write
have
the E. Oh, you
30,
already
40
did that.
kits
Got it.
for each unit.
The color you observed, and then
All right.
this
The
column is for the ones
important
that you
thing
just
to know
measured
for
here.
this one is right here. Your short side is your negative side, okay? And you want your resistor.
So then you can just go to your next
to
one.
go
This
One of
column
the
has
bulbs,
your not using
you
until
won't see
you
the light,
figure out all the other
but there's
ones.
something
And
going
I'm
on.
no science person, and I was freaking out about these.
Now, do you have a
Like, how am I?
science teacher on board with this?
Same color,
or
same
is it
bulb.
just-
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
actually
What you got to
the-
do is,
our tech
after
guy
you
at
do
our
this,
school, Rick
there should be
Jason,
this bag,
is like one of
trade
the
bags.
head nano guys in the
Another
field.
group.
He's got his own nano program
Yes.
he's
Did both of them
running.
light up?
He's very busy, so he's not really around to
These are
answer much
all
questions.
physical
So really, I
lighting
just
up the same
emailed
color.
Signe. She was
Yes.
right back to me. She
As
said,
since they're in the
"You know
same
what?
bag, they will."
I'll
And
come
then-
in.
Did
I
you
got
do
my
F
mornings
yet?
free. I'll come in. I'll help you out. And then once
F
I
is a
saw it,
different
I was
color.
like,
Different color.
oh, that's not so
There's
bad.
about
That
seven
was a lot
or
easier
eight
than I
colors
thought. But you
different.
get so nervous
So
because
I'll
you're not
take
used
this
to the
one.
technology and the
Yes.
science side of it.
And I'll give
Even
you.
that's
Yeah,
why
only
when
do
they
one of
ask
the
my
bulbs in
students
a bag,
together,
because
we
all the
read through
bulbs in
this
that
whole
one
thing, because
specific
once they see
bag are
those
the
words,
same
they,
color.
like,
So when you
they
get done
freeze up
doing the one
because
bulb out
they're
of the
like,
bag,
I don't know what
trade.
we're doing. So everybody gets a highlighter or a color pencil.
Oh, these are all E?
anything. And
Okay.
they go through and they highlight all the important things. And then when we come back and start
There's
answering these
B.
questions, they get 10 or 15 minutes to answer them by going back through and saying, okay, I can find these in here and I can figure it out. And they do, and then they talk to each other. They're like, hey, wait, what did you
That
get
might
from
be the
here?
infrared one.
They do.
That might be the infrared one.
They really, really
No,
do.
I
And you
did
just
it wrong.
start- I mean, it's
It's
the
me.
future. The future's
Yeah, it's
instilling it
operator
into them
problem.
and getting them ready for these things. And
There we go.
There's a
push
nice
through.
green one.
Not
Beautiful.
everybody's good at,
Say
and I
it's
told
scoop,
them, I am not a good reader, so you'll have to help me out. And then they find it funny. They think it's cool that, everybody's not good at everything, and we all work as a team. We look at this class as a team.
Yeah, I can't
we'll
wait to
work
do
through it
this one with
together
my
because they know
students.
it's my first time doing this too.
And I was like
they're
previewing
really
it, and I
receptive
picked
of
the
it.
infrared bulb, and nothing lit up. And I was like, what's going on?
I did last year a project for this course. I'll probably do it again. We do the compass at the end to
So you give it at the beginning and at the end?
Seeing me
we
being
give
a
it at the
colorblind
end
guy,
of
I have
June.
no clue.
Before they enter as seniors.
All right,
I'm
so you
giving
guys
it
need
to
another
them again in
color,
like a week
right?
and a half as like a midterm. I'll call it the midterm so that they take it seriously.
Take that.
And
you guys
I have
another
to come up
color.
with a scale of gains because obviously they're not going to get 100 on it.
All right,
It's
you done both E and
impossible
F?
for them, So we make a
Did
scale
one
of
F?
gains.
Yeah, I think that's
And
it.
then
You know,
here's a B.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oopsies, and then I'll give it again.
Oh, you did the
I
B already?
actually give it in late May.
And that is,
because,
what is F?
our seniors who are taking these
So you need
now,
something
they take their test
besides
in May too.
B, E, and
So
F.
I make them feel like,
you guys do B yet?
this is your end test,
You did B?
and then we're going to do a group project, we're going to do some group things, we're going to get to the library.
You can really
we're gonna
just
do
change
some-
out here because they haven't
so
done them
I kinda
yet.
try and structure it like that so that they feel
Say they're in the dumb
just,
class. You say
right,
that all the time.
they are
the dumb math.
just as important as they are, and they can make just as much money as those kids with less college bills. So, I'm like,
No.
you guys are way better off.
The black
But
one?
if I were to
Yep.
do this again, I don't even think 60 grand yet.
The program that they have, is granted about the last couple of years, two-year program,
Excuse me?
feeds into like an MPI or
Right.
different. We're
Sorry,
trying to look
Corey.
at it, because so many kids go to VOTEC because they don't like, I don't want to go to a four-year college, there's nothing I want to do at.
Right.
So this is totally.
Let's try this one.
Yeah, let's see what this does.
Right.
I'm just,
Well, we
you
had
know,
to change.
neither of
we
these
had to
I've
change
ever
with
worked
mine
with.
Yeah,
about
the only ones that I had were the ones that,
I wish I brought my own.
No, it's
It
not.
tells you what a geek.
It's for the technically inclined child, you know, and then,
former
you
science
know,
teacher,
they
I'm
be
well
bring
aware.
the people so they get to
I'm a
explain the
math
programs,
teacher,
and even the parents had a stigma on VOTEC. My kid's not going to that.
For me.
all right, let's turn it up.
I think the funny thing is you guys are math teachers infused in science, and I would
Right.
be a science teacher infused in math.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just-
But this
No,
is, you know, this
I
is
was
really
I was getting it
helping
ready
out
the other day, and one of the kids I have
what
in
do you have for
geometry was like,
juniors to do? What do
wait, why are you
juniors
doing
take?
science? Isn't this your math class? I said, yeah, but
I was the
this
curriculum
reads
coordinator 2
3.20.
years ago, and we decided to take this to the board.
And that's
we
all
said,
the places
They
it
gotta take
goes.
it for your math class.
well, you should definitely get a reading more than that one gave you.
Right.
Yeah, well, 3.20 is something,
High.
right? Is that pretty high?
I didn't have the blue to measure.
We switched our
So-
Let's write that down. 3.20. Right here for the
Forward voltage.
Yep.
We've switched our whole
Okay,
math
let's put that like
at
that.
11.
I'll get another one.
We've got one other, but you can.
I'll trade this
You can
around.
pass
Yeah.
Takes it in 1 year, but the kids that were 1s and 2s on the 8th grade assessment, they have to come in for a lab every other day. Yep, extra help.
No, nope.
Yep.
That
So
you're gonna
it was
calculate.
1 year,
So,
last year,
did you
I'm
get
the only algebra teacher
A?
that had
Have you had A yet? Okay, there's A.
Everybody passed in 1 year, then everybody goes to geometry.
Here's F.
And they won't all pass geometry, and that's okay, but they're still in their math course for geometry.
Yeah.
Then they can either put some of them in trig, whether they pass geometry or not, which is kind of our calling point there, but we do offer a graphing calculator.
Yes. What ones have you had?
This was C, calculators they do when they go through junior year. And then senior year, they
A and E,
come back
okay.
to me for either
You
the
got both of
scores or
these?
pre-calc or, you know, whatever they
Yes.
fill into. They can also take trig as a senior if they'd like.
E? E is one of them?
A and E is
Calc,
that.
pre-calc. I could see kids taking one of these who are really bright math.
Here's E. There's the E.
It seems like, yeah, it should go lower and lower, right? We got this high voltage and then a little bit lower, and then two. See that?
C,
And then you
D.
say this is infrared, it should be 7.5. This is like an ultraviolet more than.
Infrareds are. You've done A?
We've done A.
C? Okay.
There's D. You've done A.
Around just to check if my
here's A.
batteries are good.
Oh, those.
You're trying to move so that you're not.
Beautiful red.
I've been doing this for the last two.
Well, you know, it's not that
Yeah, I know, it didn't like that.
Oh, this one might be the,
you know, I don't think so, but let's,
no, that could be
yeah, flip
the
it
other
around
one.
first. Let's try this one looks like the longer one.
I know, that's the way I had it.
Oh, okay.
Is it kind of lighting up? Oh, no, that's just the glare.
Yeah.
That might be the, that one.
Well, let's read it. No, read it.
Read it, yeah.
Let's read it. It's just reading point 2.
What bag is that?
That's F. I don't, I mean,
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
And that's what we've done with our geometry teacher. Do I turn it onto this one for this little guy?
DCB.
And I get to
Yep.
take all this stuff home with me.
Do you teach geometry? I do. So do I.
I haven't done the lab yet because
But Like I have a couple kids that
Because,
haven't taken the
all they
Regents
need to
exam.
do to lab.
And they're not like, what are you doing at any point, so.
So they're,
But like, it's good for them to see like that symmetry, like they didn't,
right. they don't
never
get-
saw that,
no.
never ever.
But with
We
the
didn't even
Common
start
Core,
now.
I know.
It was very good.
We could, thank you, Ted.
It had the big picture all the way down to the classroom.
So we're gonna be,
And we're touching all sorts of students, you know, like I was shocked, Ted, when I asked for the results of the algebra exam from
I
all my
know.
students,
because they're doing
to see
full
that,
equations of
you know,
lines.
that many kids didn't even pass it,
Right.
you know?
The
And,
whole course of algebra.
you know, what I probably should have mentioned but didn't mention is the majority of them are IEP kids.
Right.
They got an IEP, so they're not, you know, they're not even required to take it. They've taken it 2 or 3 times. But, you know, I was basically told
I like
they
that
want to
one.
go with that financial algebra class.
Pretty.
I don't know if you've seen that textbook, the financial algebra textbook.
How does it align with the college readiness stuff?
I really don't think I have a say or choice in it, what we do next year.
It's Sharon now, right?
Oh, really?
I was
She's
told,
making the call.
I was told by my principal that if we didn't get a full-time math position, or half-time person to be a full-time next year, that this class probably would not go next year. Which I'm like, you know, I don't think Sharon's too pleased with me anyway right now. Because honestly,
Actually, I've realized it's a way for me to know when I should be wearing sunscreen.
Oh, right, because you need
Usually
that.
they're like real, some of the colors, so it's
which
like.
boggles me.
Oh, you gotta switch put this red one on this one over here. If you get the negative read, then it's the
Well, they did. She did.
wrong way.
It's sort of looking around 310.
Yeah.
Because like I'll
like I
have
said,
indoor
we'll
color
see,
might be
because
real pale,
we were
and then I
supposed to
step
have the
outside,
meeting
it's bright red, and it's like, oh right, UV, I should be wearing sunscreen.
I mean, they do.
It wasn't working, it was coming out negative on DCV.
This one?
Maybe ACV?
Oh, okay. So if you're on DCV,
Yeah.
this is the negative.
Oh, I
So
have
it
my
should be
size
going
on.
from the negative side. And then this is the positive.